Let's see. Going live Thursday afternoon. Just want to welcome everybody. Yeah, just seeing there. I'm just going to make sure you can all hear me. Perfect. Perfect. How's everyone doing? How's the week going? I know for us, it's the last week of school for the kids, so starting next week, we're probably going to have to be delving into another topic, probably patience. I think I'm going to get an idea for July on patience. But this month, we're going to be doing curing indecision. And I know that this is a topic that is huge, huge. Like we all face it. This is something that, it doesn't matter who you are, what you've gone through. We've all had moments of indecision, right? Um, what's one of the skills that we just need to develop and we need to be reminded of constantly is how do we make decisions that we'll love? And really, that's what I'm trying to do with this month's program and this month's lives is giving you different ways to look at decision making, different ways to actually execute making decisions, and love your way to doing it. Okay, because it doesn't have to be painful. We just like to make it that way. So, there's a question I asked a group of guys, and it was funny because I got a lot of different answers, but I think I came up with my own version, which I like the best. And that's what's the difference between powerful men and weak ones? And I believe it boils down to powerful men and women make decisions, right? Weak men have decisions made for them. And I really think that's the difference is taking responsibility. Hey, Stephanie, how's it going? Glad to see you here. And chime in, and I know you will, because that's what I always love about you, Steph. Um, so what we're looking at here is the power to make a decision, and anyone can do it. From a little child to a 9-year-old person, we all have the ability to make choice. That is what makes us unique. Our ability to assess a situation and make a decision that affects our future, right? Um, Interesting is that we don't spend a lot of time thinking about this. Most of the decisions we make in a day. And I read a stat that said about 35,000 decisions are being made every day. Like we wake up every day, and by the time we go to sleep, we've made about 35,000 decisions, roughly. And most of these we don't even think about. Should I brush my teeth? What should I brush my teeth with? What time should I get up? What should I eat? Um, but there are a handful of decisions every day that can keep us up at night. And they nag at us during the day, and they can inevitably drive us crazy. And I think those are what I'm trying to propose the process here today to help you solve, to give you something that you can use as a guide in order to get out of that agony of indecision. And I know we've all been there. It's the worst feeling in the world, right? Um, Now it's funny because I've always been really good at making decisions. For good, bad, or ugly, I have no problem making choices. In fact, I kind of relish making the choice. Um, and there are times, and my decision making is a lot of different ways. There are times when I dive into extensive research and I go into the weeds and I create spreadsheets and I do analysis paralysis. But then other times when I just kind of go with the gut feel. And what's what's so there's a lot of times when I just go with my gut, right? And I deal with the consequences later, right? And I think that I have some examples where both have worked out for me well, and both have also blown up in my face. Um, one of the big ones we made was when we decided to move down to California. That was an easy decision because it was something new, something exciting, something we could do as a family. Um, and I didn't really put a lot of thought into it. I learned later that I probably should have put in more thought, things that you don't think about until you make the decision you head down here. So when we left Canada, I didn't realize at the time or appreciate how the US and Canada, even though they share a border, even though they're very closely related, they do not share credit histories. That was something I had to learn the hard way once I moved down here, is that I had a credit history of blank. Now, those of us who work in a country, this, that, the other, we usually take that for granted. But the minute you move, these things cropped up. But once I knew that, I could put a plan together on how to build credit. So, that you learn a lot of these things as you go along. And I think this is the hot point I want to highlight is that even if you may have a bad outcome, it could inevitably turn into a good decision. But you have to make the decision first. Okay? And that is usually what holds us back. One of my favorite all-time quotes, it's on my website, it's from Cicero, a Roman senator, politician, and he once said that more is lost through indecision than wrong decision. And I love that because what that really highlights is we lose out on so many more opportunities when we're sitting on our hands and we're not decisive. In football, there are examples where if you're the running back, they say, stick your foot in and hit the hole, make a choice. I think that analogy kind of works with life. Just make a choice and find out what the result's going to look like. And what I've really decided, kind of boils down to, is that it's the only thing that's keeping us back from making a decision is fear. Fear of the outcome, fear of what we might be giving up by making that decision, or fear that it's not going to work out and we wasted all this time. And then there's also the fear of just in general making a mistake. And because what does that mean ultimately? What will people think of us? I will feel stupid. What if I can't go back? These are all the fears that come up before we make a big decision. But the good news is that making a decision is the one thing that is 100% in your control. Everything else after isn't. And that's a really powerful thing. They're not final. Decisions are not final. You can always change your mind and come back and do something differently. There's politicians do it all the time. They change their minds, right? They say one thing 1 year ago, it's the different thing today, right? You can change your mind and you can change your decision. Only death is permanent. So I'm going to dive into the 5-step process that I've kind of thought up to making good decisions and feeling good about them. So not just making good decisions, making decisions that you feel good about, okay? Number one, and I brought this up in some previous lives, are core values, and really knowing yourself and what you want. Knowing what makes you feel good, where you come from in your value system. Have you ever done something that just felt wrong? Like you just knew it wasn't the right thing to do? I know when I was in grade school, I got into a snowball fight, and I'll always remember the snowball fight because I got punished pretty severely when I got home. I lived across the street from the elementary, and if I got detention, my mom knew about it. I had a 5-minute gap to get home from school, and if I wasn't home in 5 minutes, the odds were pretty good I was in detention. I had gotten into trouble, and in this case, I got into a snowball fight because all the other kids were doing it, and I kind of knew I probably could get in trouble by doing this, and I started, flinging around the snowballs, and of all the kids, I'm the one who got caught, and it went against my core value of not, going outside the lines, not breaking the rules. As I got older, my core values changed, right? And now, when I look at big decisions, I always like to align them with what I value the most. And, coincidentally, my number one value, it pops up every single time I do my exercise, are relationships, right? So if my decision doesn't align with how I view relationships, or it's going to fracture relationships, or it's going to work against me in that core value, I typically stay away from it, okay? So this is a great core values. Number two, this is also critical. What do you want, right? What do you want the outcome to be? Because if you don't know what outcome you're looking for, you're just shooting in the dark. You need a target. You need something to go for, because then you can pick a way to go without an actual endpoint, without a decision of what you want. You can't pick which path you need to take. Either one, positive, negative, neutral, you won't know because you're sitting in this cloud of ambiguity, right? And that is worse than anything. I think we could all sit in that indecision and that abstract thinking for for a long time. But if you want to get out of it, you have to finally decide what it is you want. And this could take a long time, but you couple what you want with your core values, and now you've got a really strong foundation to launch from. Okay? Now, this is the part I think a lot of us can get caught up in, and it's evaluate. Right? It's look at these two things. Look at the core values, look at what you want, and the decision that's in front of you. And evaluate the different choices you have. Right? And this could be a lot. It could be binary, it could be one or two, or it could be a choice upon a choice upon a choice. But really evaluate and pick the one, go down the path, plan down the path that feels the most right. And then you can always backtrack and try another path. Backtrack again and try another path. So evaluation is an important crit. But I'm going to give you a little side hack. This is going to be like 3B. Give yourself a deadline. Okay? Give yourself a deadline so you're not evaluating into infinity, right? It's important to hit a deadline to make a decision. Okay? Number 4. How many of us have watched Indiana Jones and the Search for the Holy Grail? Okay? It's one of my favorite movies growing up. And there's this scene at the very end, spoiler alert, when Indiana Jones is at the temple and he's passing these trials. And one of the trials he has to face is what they call the leap of faith. And he's standing on the edge of a chasm, on the edge of a cavern, and he has to choose, in order to proceed forward, in order to achieve the Holy Grail, he must take a leap of faith. Which means he closes his eyes and he steps off the ledge and lands on this, mind-bending bridge that is an optical illusion, and he walks across. But that leap of faith takes courage. And that's where the 4th one is. The courage to choose. Courage came up in my last live where we talked about executing a goal, executing a plan, building confidence. And the first step to building confidence is courage, to take the first step. And it's the same here with making a decision. You need the courage to take the first step. Okay? And finally, every golfer knows this one. Follow through. Right? A good follow through. I hate high dives. Hate them. Because when I go to the top of the high dive and I launch myself off, I get scared about halfway through. And because I'm afraid of heights. So when I'm at the top and I'm jumping, I'm thinking about the landing. And a lot of times, there's only two end results. One, I go pencil in and I just go straight through. And other times I try to pull out of the jump halfway through and I end up like cannonballing and smacking my body on the water top and getting, hurt. And I think that is a great analogy for follow through. If you try to pull out of the decision halfway through, you're going to see worse results than if you just followed all the way through and then assessed when you were done. All right? And so that's why I'm kind of saying you need to evaluate, pick a path, the courage to take a path, and then execute through. Go to the end, see what the result is. Use that information now to kind of work your way back up. Right? And that's it. These 5 steps are all you need to make a decision you can feel good about. If the end result isn't what you wanted, or what you expected, you can take these learnings, rinse and repeat. So this is a rinse and repeat cycle. Okay? So I'm going to leave you guys with one kind of test here for the next week. I want you to take a problem that you've been mulling over. Take something that you've been indecisive about and try this. Okay, try this 5-step process and see, and get back to me if it works. If where did you stall out? If you did stall out, do you not? If you don't know where to get your core values, well, I'll link it below on where you guys can pull my core value sheet from my website, and just let me know what is it that you are mulling over, and how can you use this to your advantage. Okay, this is just kind of a snapshot of what it's like working with me as well. So if you're really humming and hawing over a decision and you would love somebody to bounce some ideas off of, for the month of June, I'm offering from strategy session, a decision making session, 45-minute one-on-one with me, so that you can get someone to bounce these ideas off of and try this system out once. See what coaching can do for you. It's a no-brainer. Every one of us has got a problem that we're trying to solve. I'm offering this for the month of June, and I hope you take me up on it. If you don't, you're very much just leaving value on the table here. And if not, try to do it yourself. Do it this way. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out and contact me on Facebook. You can also check out my YouTube and Instagram. But again, most important thing to do is try this and see how it works out for you. All right. Thanks, Stephanie, for your comments below. No, it's not snakes. It's not the snakes one. It's the leap of faith one. So when you think of this, think of Indiana Jones. All right, everyone take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.